U.S. forces have struck more than 10,000 military targets. In fact, we hit the 10,000th Iranian target just hours ago. Our precision strikes have overwhelmed Iranian air defenses, and our combat flights over Iran are having tangible effects. We've also removed the regime's ability to rebuild them. Today, we've damaged or destroyed over 2/3 of Iran's missile, drone, and naval production facilities and shipyards. And we're not done yet.
Yeah, it's the head of CENTCOM right there talking about the latest in the war with Iran. Coming over to the board right now. He mentioned 10,000 targets struck, more than that actually, and more than 10,000 combat flights so far. This is what is so devastating, however, for the Iranian side of this equation. Yeah, 92% of your Navy's been knocked out. You got 2/3 of your missiles, your drones, and your naval production facilities and shipyards are gone. They've been destroyed by the Israelis and the U.S. Air campaign, which is so profound right now. In the past 24 hours or so, we look at this map and think about where the Israelis are going, where's the U.S. going. A lot of hits around Tehran, the capital city, but come down here, the Strait of Hormuz, rather. That's a town called Bandar Abbas, which Matt just mentioned. The head of the IRGC, the Navy, the man who ran the Navy that blocked the Strait of Hormuz, he was taken out. One more screen for you here. In return, all these blue dots are the U.S. military bases throughout the area. And they've been targets over the past 3 or 4 weeks on behalf of Iranian drones and missiles. All right, but in red, you've got what the Iranians have done. We have 3 strikes here in Israel. You've got one near Baghdad, another one here in Kuwait. What that tells us, we'll move now, Jimmy, is that by the day, the Iranian fire has become less and less. Fewer and fewer drones and missiles have been targeted at these bases in Israel, which could be significant for our next guest. This now will show them this panel. You have 12 leading members of the entire Iranian regime that have been taken out. The Ayatollah, I mean, think about this now. Ayatollah's dead. The head of the IRGC, the commander, he has been taken out. The head of the military bureau, he's dead. The defense minister in Iran, he's gone. I mentioned the IRGC Navy commander, eliminated. Commander of the Basij, that's the state police. Very powerful internally in Iran, he's dead. The head of Iranian intelligence, he's gone as well. What are you left with? As the president says, we don't know who we're talking to. H.R. McMaster is with us now, retired Lieutenant General, former National Security Advisor to President Trump. Good to have you on the program, and thank you for your time, and good to see you again. You made a comment that the conditions today in Iran are similar to the conditions in that country 47 years ago when that revolution with the Shah took place. Why do you say that? And go ahead and describe what you see on the ground there in Iran today.
Hey, Bill, it's great. It's great to be with you. Hey, it's actually worse for the Iranian regime than it was for the Shah back in 1979. The situation you had in 1979 is you had a government that really wasn't delivering well for the people. They were really prioritizing, their military strength, what appeared to be strength, while they were neglecting their economy, for example. Their security forces kind of stayed home. They weren't able to really support the Shah. They decided not to. And so what you're seeing today, I think, and what you just described, is the U.S. Central Command, along with the Israelis as part of this coalition, are doing what they set out to do. What they told us, what the president told us in the first 7-minute clip that he used to announce the beginning of the operation, as well as the various briefings of the Pentagon, is to deny Iran's ability to project power outside its borders. But what you're also seeing in some of those who have been killed is a weakening of the regime's ability to maintain their exclusive grip on power by repressing the population. So the conditions are set, I think, for a fundamental change in the nature of the Iranian regime such that it ceases its permanent hostility to the United States, they call the Great Satan, Israel, who they call the cancerous boil, and of course their Arab neighbors. I mean, they fired these missiles and drones against 14 different countries. And so I think this regime is what I mentioned in a recent essay, it's a dead man crawling.
Wow. Okay, let me take that a step further, because what we're hearing from the leaders of these Gulf states is saying that we cannot accept Iran that is not neutered. So that they want all their military capabilities wiped out, and they want the next leadership to agree to those conditions. So your conclusion, based on your military background and your intelligence background, is that this regime will be changed. How much thought have you? How much
it's
thought have you given to what replaces it, and where does that thought take you?
Yeah, Bill. I mean, this is the big question, right? It already, it's already changed because you just went through all these leaders who've been killed, and so the regime is fragmented. I think President Trump is playing toward that fragmentation. He says, "Oh, they want a deal. They're desperate for a deal." But you know what they're saying publicly, Bill, is they're saying, "Hey, we've got to meet these 5 conditions. You stop attacking. The second thing is you're never going to attack us again. You're going to give us the keys to the Straits of Hormuz. You're going to pay reparations." So what you're seeing are these much different, many different perspectives because the regime is fragmented. So one way it could end, Bill, is that fragmentation continues and elements of the military, maybe the Artesh, which is the conventional military, say, "Hey, enough of this. We're taking control," and you would have essentially a coup of some kind and a transitional government. That would probably be the best way that it could end. Oh. Another is the continued strikes against the Basij, right, which are these thugs who killed 30,000, more than 30,000 Iranians in a 2-day period in January. That weakens the regime's ability to repress its own population. They just rounded up 1,000 people because the regime is very concerned about that. Yeah. That's another way. So you could have a brief period of essentially civil war and an uprising as well.
Okay, I got about 30 seconds left. When the Iranians publicly say that we reject your offer, there's no negotiations, it's not happening, and then leaders in Pakistan come out and say, no, they're talking, and the Iranians have looked at the offer, I wonder how much that is for domestic consumption. If the internet's out and like state communications is the only way that most Iranians get news and information, perhaps that's the message that's going. I just want to get a quick thought on that and how you analyze it.
Absolutely. It's total propaganda toward their own population. Hey, don't pay attention, to these, 10,000 strikes against us and the weakening of the regime. We're really driving the and have the initiative in the fight. And it's just all smoke and mirrors. I'm sure the Iranian people aren't buying it, right? There's more and more internet, content getting past these firewalls. There are more VPNs and Starlink terminals. So, I think it just shows the fundamental weakness of the regime, as well as the degree to which the regime is fragmented.
Extraordinary time. H.R. McMaster, good to have you on. Thank you, General, for coming back.
Great to be with you, Bill. Thank you.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.